Hello, everybody. 1 second. I was saying that, Miss Nikki, I've been talking this whole entire time on mute, so forgive me. As I said before, thank you all for being here. Share the live right now via repost. Also, share it via story. And let's get these likes up to at least one. No, not 1K. We need to do at least 5K before we start. Before Miss Randi White comes up and we have the conversation with her. So Miss Randi White, she is from Maryland's first congressional district. So hopefully, if you are in the Maryland area and if she's a neighboring district to you, that is great. And if she's more exclusively in your district, that would be great as well. So hopefully you'll enjoy this conversation because she, from what we've read thus far, she is a great candidate to get to know. So thank you for being here thus far. So let's go ahead and get these taps up. We're almost hitting 500 likes, so let's see if we can go ahead and get 5K before we start. So thank you all for being here. So as what people don't know about Miss Randi White, she has lived in her congressional district pretty much all of her life. She was born and raised in the first congressional district, which I'm glad we have a Marylander in our group that had to correct me because initially I said the Eastern Seaboard or Seashore, but it's actually the Maryland Eastern Shore. So that is good to know. I am from Alabama, so I don't know much about that region. So thank you for the correction from my team member. And also, what we read thus far is her upbringing is close to this district because she's born and raised there. So I'm going to talk more about it when she comes up, and she is here. So I'm go ahead and if I don't request her up, someone in my team can. So let's see if we can bring Miss Randi White up. All right. Hi, Miss Randi.
Hello, hello, hello. Let me know when you can see me. These lives are different for
We can hear
me.
you good. And do you have the background?
Yeah, it should be,
Okay.
we should be good.
Okay.
So if I gotta pinch my screen. Um,
If you are you familiar with the green screen effects on the camera?
yeah, I applied that already. I'm so sorry. I just don't
No,
know
you're
why
fine.
the camera's off. That's why. Where is,
Yes. So once it's on, you can select the green screen
okay,
option and then go into your camera roll.
there we go. All right. Hey,
Yes, perfect. Yes,
how are
yes,
you?
yes. I am good. All right, thank you
Good.
all for the gifts thus far as you all are start coming in. Thank you all for stopping by our accounts. Go ahead and share the live, like the live. And also, let's see if we can get to at least 5K before the first 5 minutes of this conversation. So, if you don't mind, Miss Randi, just let me know whenever you're ready and we'll go ahead and get started.
We're good. Sorry, as I've mentioned before, we have as people may have seen, I am a full-time mom as well as a full-time candidate. So we have a kid that is kind of pukey today. So they went to bed, and you hear they're
Yeah,
calling me now.
I
Now is the
I fully
appropriate time.
understand. No worries. I just appreciate your bravery of
Thank you.
running in for Congress because we know that's not an easy task to do. So just having the gumption to do it, my full respect and honor to that. All right.
Right.
So hello everyone. Welcome to our Vote Counts Town Hall. I am your moderator, Jazz B. Flower. So for those who are not familiar with our Vote Counts, we are a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds, united by a shared commitment to empower voters and promoting candidates who stand by integrity, inclusion, and accountability in upcoming elections. Formed by a collective of educators, veterans, small business owners, students, and community advocates, our Vote Counts represents the strength of unity across geography, race, and ideology. While our stories are different, our mission is the same, which is to ensure that every voice is heard and every voice truly counts. So with Our Vote Counts is more than just a name, it's a promise and a movement and rallying cry for democracy together. So while shaping the future, we understand that one informed vote at a time is important. So today, we're joined by Miss Randi White. She is a candidate running for U.S. House of Representatives for Maryland's 1st Congressional District. So for those who are not familiar with the Maryland's 1st Congressional District, it consists of the Maryland Eastern Shore, which includes the counties of Caroline, Cecil, Dorchester, Kent, Queen Anne's, Somerset, Talbot, Wicomico. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Wicomico. I was waiting for you to get to that one. Wicomico.
Wicomico. Yes, and the municipalities within those areas include Salisbury, Bel Air, and Cambridge. While we get to know Miss Randi White, we'll be talking about her background, her vision for the district, and of course, taking your questions live. So, Miss Randi, if you're not familiar with the format of this town hall, so after each set of category questions that we give you, we will allow one person to come up and ask you a question. If we don't have one to come up and ask you a question, we'll go ahead and take a question from the chat. All right?
Sounds good to me.
So, we learned from you that you were born and raised in Salisbury, Maryland. You are indeed, as you mentioned, a full-time mom. You have spent over 20 years in communications and marketing. But for those who are meeting you for the first time, tell us what was the moment or experience that made you say, okay, it's time for me to run for Congress and offer a vision for Maryland's 1st Congressional District.
As soon as you say that, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I appreciate that. As soon as you said that, I thought of Wicked, where Ariana Grande, Galinda says, "Aren't you happy to see me?" I'm just kidding. So yeah, I grew up in Salisbury, and like growing up, and I can't tell the story without starting at the beginning. I grew up with my grandparents, and my grandmother at a very young age had me in the voting booth with her, expressing the importance of knowing what's going on in the government and always asking the hard questions, whether it was policy, politics, in church, whatever. She had me asking questions, and she told me, if they are uncomfortable while you're asking the questions, you're on the right path, right? So at a very young age, I knew that I wanted to be in politics, but I fought it for a very long time. In 2016, after the presidential election, I had a really rough reaction to that, right? And I stayed on a couch in bed for days because it just didn't make sense to me. Why not choose the most overqualified person, most qualified and overqualified person? Later, I would find out that I was pregnant at the time, and I didn't know. I wouldn't find out for like 4 months later. I didn't find out till I was 32 weeks pregnant. So that had a lot to do with that depression. But at that time, before I found out I was pregnant, I wanted to run. I'd spent some time working in Nashville, so I was going to run there. But once I found out I was pregnant, that was out the door. Working on the Harris campaign back in 2024, I went down because they thought that Virginia was going to be a battleground state. And I applied for the Biden campaign, moved on to the Harris campaign, and worked in Chesapeake, Virginia, where a very small office helped help that very kind of red district vote up and down the ballot minus the congressional candidate. And the congressional candidate we got to work very closely with, and my imposter syndrome went away because there were a lot of mistakes that she was making that I was like, this seems like common sense. You should do this. And then I got to have a little one-on-one time with Abigail Spanberger, who they're about to, inaugurate in a couple of days in Virginia. And I asked her, I said, how did you flip your district red to blue? And if I said I was running against Andy Harris, what would you say would be the best thing for me to do? Because, she flipped a district and made it permanently blue right now. She gave me some details and I was like, okay, so if this guy doesn't beat Andy Harris, it's all on me. So he didn't. So it's all me. And I'm glad to be home and fighting for my people. It's personal to me. This is very personal. This is very much we got to fight for everything, and we got to bring everything that we have, because a lot of what's been in the system with consultants and everything else, that's been going on 8 cycles and lost 8 cycles to Andy Harris. So let's flip some tables over.
Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that. And the fact that you've gotten experience from the Biden campaign and going transition into the Harris campaign. I would love to hear your stories if you were to come back and talk about that. So that is very intriguing to learn if whenever you have some more time with us later on. But I'm going to go ahead and roll into talking about giving you an icebreaker question before we go into the hard questions. So if you could invite 3 people, whether they're living or someone who's already passed on, to your dinner table, tell me who would they be and why? 3 people.
Oh, easy. My grandmother. We're going to pull her back up from the dead. We're going to put Hillary Clinton on there, and we're going to pull up Miss Shirley Chisholm. Those are the 3 women who have shaped who I am as a woman, who I am as a candidate. And those 3 women are so important to this run. I told you my grandmother, Shirley Chisholm, is every Black woman's hero, right? And her tenacity and to her courage to even run for president when she did. I quote her all the time, when she talks about bringing a folding folding chair so you have a seat at the table. And with my campaign, I'm saying, you know what, we're going to toss that away. I love Shirley, love Miss Shirley, love everything about her. We're going to create a whole new table, and we're bringing all the people in Maryland there. And Hillary Clinton is someone who, when I was 8 years old and she talked about, I'm not baking cookies, I ain't doing all that stuff. And I was like, absolutely. Like, why are we baking cookies? We don't need to bake cookies. Still to this day, I don't bake very good cookies. But I love even to this day how she is who she is. Strong, unapologetic women are the foundation of who I am. I would throw in Kamala Harris too as an extra, but you only said 3. But and I think my grandmother would be happy to be in the midst of that, and we could have some great conversation.
Okay. That's a great lineup, so I appreciate it. So I shouldn't have said like dinner table. I should have said like Mount Rushmore, like your Mount Rushmore of your people that inspired you. So yeah, I appreciate those answers from that. So let's dive into the our first set of topics, which is economic development. So we know that many families on the eastern seashore of Maryland are working full time, but they still struggle with rent, groceries, and medical bills while wages continue to not keep up the pace. What specific policies would you support to raise wages and reduce everyday costs so that working families in the district can actually get ahead?
So the cool thing about Maryland is we have, a minimum wage that's pretty much higher than most people. Like our neighbor to the north, Pennsylvania, it's about double it. Our neighbors to the south, it's about $4 higher, but it's not a living wage. One of the things that we need to do for the Eastern Shore, and also remember that Maryland's first district includes Harford County and a sliver of Baltimore County, East Baltimore County. So those 2 counties are very populous, mostly urban. There are rural parts of those. But the Eastern Shore specifically, we don't have industries here. So we don't have those industries that are providing jobs to fit the cost of living, the rising cost of living. So I definitely those pushes, because Andy Harris hasn't done that. Andy Harris hasn't asked for those to go up. I think a national minimum wage increase is necessary. And I think if we do the math on it, about $27 would get you close to a living wage in this district, right? We know that that's going to be hard to do, right? We don't even, like, once you get into Congress, you don't know at this point what's going to be left there. You don't know how much is broken. We got the 45th Republican congressperson who just said, I'm out. So you don't know if they're breaking stuff on the way out or anything else like that. So we want to get the national minimum wage up to $15 to start off with as a base and see if we can rise those. For this district specifically, it's all about bidding to get these in here. Because right now, growing up in Salisbury, growing up on the Eastern Shore, you can do retail or you can do poultry. And that's Purdue, and other places. And that's about it. A lot of what I want to push for are like clean energy jobs, making sure we push clean energy, period, because we have so many environmental issues that can be solved, and we could get a lot of push in there. We also want to push for like union right to organize and support our unions to make sure that they're good, and that they can protect workers to get that living wage as well. And we don't have to be, anti-business to do that. Like, we just the businesses have to be along with being pro-worker,
And thank you for that. So you pretty much answered my other questions regarding what plan would you take to kind of expound upon just better wage jobs. So you tackled the more unions that need to be more involved. And I think you just mentioned something about small businesses or just having businesses as well. So as a follow-up, tell me, how would you support locally owned businesses and keep money circulating within the community, instead of the flowing of the large out-of-state corporations coming in and buying up businesses? Tell us your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's actually a big deal to me, to make sure that those that have small businesses are supported by us federally, getting those federal dollars for people that want to be out there, between grants, between different organizations that provide protections for small business owners. One way that we're supporting them is we're working on a bar crawl in different areas. So even locally in Salisbury, for this part of the region, Maryland's first district is smaller population-wise than a lot of the districts in Maryland, but it's the biggest because it has almost half the counties in it. So we're breaking them up in different ways, and our ways of supporting small businesses is, while we're trying to campaign, let's bring people out to the small businesses. So we've got a whole set in downtown Salisbury of bars that are ready to like have this cool little bar crawl in the winter, but to do during the daytime, because we want to bring people back in. They've talked to me and said, we need help. We need to bring people in, also because millennials are the only ones still going out, but we want to get everybody else to come out as well. So we want to start, even in the things that I'm doing, I support small businesses because it's something I could never do myself. I've never been creative, but we have so many chains here. You see it up and down 301, and we need to support those people that I know can cook their tails off. Or if there are designers out there, little boutiques and stuff, there's no reason why we got to have the same stuff hanging out in the same places that are going to close in 2 minutes. So we want to support those. And right now in places like Crisfield, because of the lack of support from Andy Harris and Republicans, they have businesses shutting down at high rates all the time. And that's per the Chamber of Commerce. We went down there 1 week and they had closed up to, I think, 7 businesses that had closed in that moment. So we need to support those small businesses throughout the year, not just our beach season, which is Memorial Day weekend all the way to Labor Day weekend.
Thank you for that. All right, so we do have someone who would like to ask you a question from the chat. So, Buttermilk, how are you? What is your question for Miss Randi?
Hello, ladies. How are y'all doing tonight?
Good. How about you?
I'm good. I am a Maryland resident. I'm in District 4, however.
Okay.
But I have 2 sons. One went to Salisbury, and the other one went to UMBC. Yeah, so I'm very familiar. So my question to you is, do you have any ideas for programs that you can offer to children that go to these colleges on the Eastern Shore that set them up when they come out? Any plans for that?
Ooh, that's good. That's actually really a good question. So, being a federal level, not necessarily candidate, but federal ranking person, that's a good question to look into, because if we look at where the Department of Education stands as of right now, we can't do much. But moving forward, yes, because those are the pushes. Like I was telling, one of the things that happens with the Eastern Shore is if you grow up here, you leave. You have to leave to
Yes.
provide.
Yes.
So most of my friends who I grew up with are in PG County, in your district. They're in Baltimore. I had to leave. I had to leave at some point and then come back. Like I was constantly coming back. Y'all want me back yet? No? Okay. I started my career here and then had to leave. And that is the sad part. And we really do want to have programs like, if you're going to Salisbury or UMES, which is our HBCU here, like we want you to stay here, like develop yourself here. And it reminds me of a program that, and what my job would be is to fight for funding, right? Federal funding, because that's what we lack, education, but collaborate with Governor Moore, collaborate with local officials as well too. It's one of the things that I'd like to see with affordable college universities. One of the plans that happened up in New York is, if you stay here for 4 years, we'll take care of that. You know what I mean? You don't have to pay, as long as your parents don't make $400,000 a year. If you stay here 4 years after you graduate, then we will take all your tuition and go. I think one of those programs are so efficient for the regions. Those programs are so efficient for families, because, oh, sweet, I'll stay here. If you're saying after 4 years, I get all that stuff wiped out, I don't have to worry about anything. It's chef's kiss. And that's something that I wanted to pull down. And back in 2016, that was something that Hillary Clinton wanted to expand upon nationally, where if you stay in the region where you go to school, they will pay for you. And because what you're doing is you're putting back into the local environment. And after 4 years, go somewhere else. So that's actually a good question. I would love to look more into what can be done on the federal level. But pushing for that is a big deal. It's a great question.
Absolutely. And I think I said UMBC, which is where my niece went, but my son went to UMES. So let me fix that. Last question real quick. We hear so much about Myrtle Beach and, a lot of the beaches in North Carolina. A lot of people don't know about Sandy Point. And so do you think that there could be some business ideas there, building up a boardwalk, or some sort of businesses along that area to regenerate the economy there?
So unfortunately, Sandy Point wouldn't be in my district. I think that's District 3, if I'm not correct.
On the Eastern Shore.
It used to be. Sandy Point is on the other side of the bridge. So you're close. You're close.
Okay.
Sandy Point is right on the edge. So right off the bridge, right where Annapolis is. Sandy Point does have jellyfish.
It's true.
You got to be careful. It's amazing.
Nightmares.
Sandy Point is where people that would, back in the day, Jasmine, people always go to Ocean City. So you got to go on the Bay Bridge, and traffic was really bad at the bridge. So people would just give up and just go to Sandy Point, take the exit, get on Sandy Point instead of waiting to get on the Bay Bridge.
Yeah.
It would be good for them to maximize that area and because it would kill some of that congestion, I think, as well, and bring some more money into Anne Arundel, although that's not my district. It used to be in Maryland's first district, but it's not anymore.
Okay.
So yes.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying, though. I thought it was still on that shore portion that was in one. But thank you, and I will be looking forward to your campaign. Anyone I know on that Eastern Shore, I'm gonna say Randi White, Randi White, Randi White, and let's go, let's get it. Thank you, Jazz.
I appreciate it. And UMES, I used to do Upward Bound at UMES, so I spent the summers there, and then I went to UMBC's Upward Bound, where it was for math and science and all. Both of those schools, UMBC is in Baltimore County, not within the district, but those schools are so near and dear to my heart. We're getting interns from UMES too, so I want to get back. So.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for that, Buttermilk. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and talk about healthcare. So we also understand that not only in your district, but oftentimes family have insurance issues that they struggle with, which includes high deductibles, prescription costs, and medical debt. Could you tell me some of your solutions that would support the lowering cost of healthcare and protect families from medical debt, especially working families and seniors? And also, if you could touch on the House bill that just passed when it comes to extending the premium subsidies for another 3 years.
Right. Appreciate this. So healthcare is a big issue. I call it part of my big three, my starting three. Healthcare access, focusing on the care as well. Paying for it is a big deal. This is another one of those things. Once I'm sworn in next year, you don't know what you're going into, but shout out to Hakeem Jeffries. Shout out to Lauren Underwood for coming up with the 3 year, let's extend this. If they can get this passed, we have a lot that we can work on, right? Because that gives us a little bit of time. The Affordable Care Act was never meant to continually have all these subsidies. It was supposed to go from being, it's out of range and then get cheaper, and it was supposed to go to universal health care. That was the whole plan. But the reason why we don't have universal health care is because the country hasn't consistently voted for people who want to take it to universal health care. You had 17 Republicans vote to extend this, and it was done because they know that if they voted to forget it, we'll let them stay high and everything, that those Republicans would lose their jobs. They would lose their whole meaning. And it was really strange not to see Andy Harris's name on there too. Because as a physician, this is something that you should want. You should want people to be able to afford this. President Biden and Vice President Harris did a lot to try to just null and void, as well as President Obama too, null and void medical debt. A lot of people, when you go to look for mortgages, they ignore it. But then this administration has gone around and said, no, it has to count now. The cruelty is the point. So what we want to do is work to make ACA universal. And that's a key. We want to expand Medicare for the people that get Medicare. We want to do everything we can to reverse what the big nasty bill did in July, what it will do for people with Medicaid. We want to make sure that everyone is covered in some sort of way. A lot of people say, well, how do you feel about Medicare for all? I don't think that's the only way you can go with universal health care. I think that the bill as it is has some equity issues. And if there's a problem with making sure that Black people are covered, Hispanic people are covered, and making sure that they get benefits, we get benefits from it, then I'm against that. Nothing against universal though. I think that that's what we work towards. So what we want to do is take that time and work with people like Lauren Underwood, work with people who are all about the people, and making sure that we keep those rates really low and we work to get them to zero for everyone. And then with medical debt, we work to push. And again, when we go in there next year, we still got to fight against the dude that's at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. But with pressure, it could be possible that we get them to erase medical debt. I would love, if we're being honest, this is something that a friend of mine and I used to talk about. But I would love, when we go back to small businesses, if there was a business that decided to buy medical debt, because you can buy it for pennies on the dollar. Mm-hmm. Buy that medical debt with, help from, grants and everything else. Buy all that medical debt and throw it away. Get rid of that debt. If there was someone that, I'm going to give that business idea to someone out there. If you came up to me and said, this is what I'm doing as a nonprofit or whatever, I would work to get federal funding for you. Because sometimes we got to take these things into our own hands as people. As citizens and everything else, and that's how we have to get rid of it. But on my end, what I would be doing is actually working to force the guy at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to get rid of that medical debt. Let's drop that completely. We had someone that cared and had empathy in POTUS and President Biden, and we have the complete opposite. I don't think you could get any further opposite from him, but that's what we have to play on. We have to do what we can. And that's why I don't like making promises about what we can do. Right now, we keep an eye on Lauren Underwood's bill and how it's going to the Senate now. And hopefully we get a few Republican senators to vote for that extension. And that gives us time to work on details for sure.
Just for clarification, you mentioned about for businesses having the ability to buy those debts, because those debts essentially are pennies on the dollar. As you know, like a lot of people don't know that collection agencies buy those medical debts for pennies on the dollar. So are you saying that instead of the collection agencies buying that debt, you will have a bill that you will co-sponsor or sponsor that you would draft, saying that it will give the opportunities of nonprofit organizations buying that debt? Is that what you're advocating for?
Yeah, let's buy that debt. Let me support you in buying that debt. And this is a free business idea, and he's probably going to kill me for putting it out there. But if people that actually care want to buy this medical debt, they could. All you have to do is be a business, see the bills, and then pull them out yourself. And buying those for pennies on a yeah, absolutely. So obviously there's a lot of details into that, but I would push for that, or I would push for like grants to be available for that. Sometimes we gotta, that's one of those new ways that we just like have to flip the table over, because we gotta fight hard for people,
I like that idea. I think that would be awesome. And I don't think that would be a partisan issue if you were to add that a couple lines in a bill, like in a bundle bill, or even just a standalone bill. I can't see the other side not advocating for that, because medical debt is indiscriminate. Absolutely. So anyone can get affected with medical debt. It just takes an unfortunate situation for you to be in order for you to get in medical debt. So I think that is a great idea. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem. And that's why the ACA isn't going to go anywhere, because even though these Republican representatives may not like it and they keep calling it Obamacare just so that people won't like it, all their people depend on it. All these people that like have said, sure, let's vote for these people to get in office and they won't do any damage to me. See, like I'm reading the chat at the same time. That's where I get caught up every time. But all the people that need it still want it, because they know that they can't live without it. So the key to it would be to always talk about it, to keep that messaging up so that everyone knows, like, hey, this is a thing we're working on. And that kind of stuff happens with access. When you have a congressperson that has access, Representative McBride out of Delaware, she has this bus, right? And she travels with the bus. It's a traveling office. And that is, I've said it already. Hey, I'm stealing that idea when I win. I'm going up and down the district in a bus, parking in like Walmart parking lots, at the malls and stuff. Y'all come knock on the door and let's get some stuff going. I really believe that we need to brag more about what we're doing so that people know, even if they don't understand it, know exactly what we're trying to do.
Yes, that's awesome. So thank you for that. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and talk about maternal health in regards to healthcare. So, access to prenatal, postpartum, and mental health care remains limited for most mothers on the eastern shore of Maryland. But what policies would you support to improve maternal health outcomes and provide stronger support for women before and after childbirth? And also, if you could touch on the most recent event of a black woman who just passed on from giving childbirth. She was actually a maternal health care advocate herself, if you are familiar with that story.
Yeah, condolences to her and her family. The sad part is I feel like I can say, like, I've been there. You know what I mean? Where people they don't see us as worthy of humanity, right? Sometimes when we go in there, and there were plenty of times where they told me I was overreacting, and that maybe it wasn't enough, right? Maybe I wasn't in enough pain to get pain medicine, or something wasn't happening. Heck, it happened to Serena Williams. It happened to Beyonce. It's a problem for us. And got to shout out Lauren Underwood again, right? The Momna bus that she had with Vice President Harris, and all the black female representatives and the black males who were in there working for us too. Serena Williams' husband was in there too, like advocating for this. And we keep pushing with that, right? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We have to keep pushing with the Momna bus, and we have to keep bringing it to light, because I think, again, we got to talk more about it. The more we talk about it, it got really hype in 18 when I was pregnant with my second child. And I went to my own doctor and was like, please make sure I don't die. That's all I want you to do is take care of me. I don't want to die. That's it. I got to raise my babies. And he did a really good job. Like, even though I was in the hospital and the nurses like didn't want to feed my baby, they didn't want to feed me, they didn't want to give me medicine, I called him up, and within 2 minutes I had my stuff. So he was important. He was on point with that. It's all about communication with people. We got to communicate to the people how incredibly bad this is. And sometimes we got to throw in there, like, it is killing white women too. It is killing non-black people of color, but it's killing us more than anything. And we need to like fund the education for that and talk about that. And I was talking about this earlier about how we have to find a way to enforce it all, though, right? We can have all these rules, we can have all these regulations, we can have these declarations, but how do we enforce it? Because we see the advocate that passed away, we saw videos of women being turned away at the hospital, or where that nurse at triage was just like, the lady's giving birth, she's about to pop the baby out right there, and she's being disgusting towards her. So how do we enforce it? And that is something that requires a lot of time. People don't like to hear the word regulation. They don't like that what they see as overreach or anything, but enough is enough, and too much is too much. We live in a very rich country. Maybe not as rich as we used to be, but we live in a first world. We can afford it. We live in too rich of a country to have so many deaths, to have so many like horrible problems. When we go back in the district, we have a county like Caroline County that has a 1 in 5 infant mortality rate. We have lack of access. In my hometown, the hospital I was born in, it's a really good heart hospital. But for tough stuff, they got to fly people over to Baltimore. Or they tell you to hop into the ambulance to go to Baltimore. That's a 2-hour ride. And then in other parts of the district, it's even worse because they don't have a full-blown hospital like this. So you go into places like Dorchester County, Talbot County, and they have hospitals that are like a step above urgent care. It's not going to get much done. So what we want to do is, a lot of it has to do also with like venture capitalists being thrown into running hospitals. You get these finance bros and they're just like, I'll just buy this up. And they start treating healthcare like startup companies. And that's a no-no. We got to get that out. We got to start regulating that. And it's a word people don't like, right? But it's true. Who's owning these hospitals? Who's hiring the people? We need to know, because this is a life or death situation. It is important. Up in Harford County, where you have a quicker ride to Baltimore, where you have a quicker ride to DC, you have a quicker ride to even Philly, because in Cecil County, you can go to Philly if you need to. They're okay, but we still have rural areas where hospitals are shutting down. Yes. We have rural areas where hospitals are shutting down and everything.
Okay. Oh, sorry about that. I thought you were. You can keep going. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. It sounded like someone was getting like an Amber Alert or something on their phone.
Oh, sorry. Excuse that. That was me. Sorry.
It's okay. You're fine. But we want to make sure that we watch who's owning these hospitals, and we got to take it out of their hands, and we got to fight together. I know a lot of work will go into talking with, again, the people that work in healthcare, because we need more specialists here. We don't have specialists here. My grandmother in 2001 was diagnosed with diabetes, and until I think it was 9 months later, 2 days after we buried my grandfather, she went to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, and they were like, no, you have pancreatic cancer. That's what you had. And she knew that something was off. She knew that something wasn't right with the diabetic thing. And this was in 2001. But again, it can happen today too, where it's just someone guessing because it doesn't matter to them, right? So she died 4 months later. And who knows? Pancreatic cancer is a big killer. And we got research. And also, we got to get that funding back in a ton of research. We are losing out on cancer research and everything else because we got that weirdo with the frog throat talking, thinking he knows what's going on, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We got to fight back and get all that funding back. We got kids, we got adults that are going to die that have cancers if we don't have that research, if we can't improve on things. Like, we're on the verge of curing HIV. Like, and now we're just like, nah, and then forget about it, right? No, we're not going to do any of that. We had eradicated measles, and now all of a sudden, thousands just gone.
Yes. And thank you for that. And I'm glad you mentioned the Momnibus bill, because some people don't know that the Omnibus bill is actually a play on words from the Omnibus bill, and that more focuses on Black maternal health, and it targets like underserved areas, veterans, incarcerated peoples, to not only tackle those targeted areas that are not served in the way they deserve to be served, as well as more data research behind the funding, as well as changing certain practices that medical environments tend to practice when it comes to where they view pain and the way we are treated and so forth. So thank you for bringing it up, because I forgot that Representative Lauren Underwood did flagship that bill, and with the help of Cory Booker in the Senate as well, from what I'm mistaken.
Yep,
and I think Representative and Alma Adams too.
Yep.
Yes. So that kind of refreshed my memory when you said that. I was like, I think I remember that. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because
I'm a big fan of Lauren Underwood. So like everything, and the way she came in, she very quiet, and she flipped a red district too, and had to fight
Illinois,
every time she went. Yep, and had to fight every time to win. But she went in there, she did her work, and I love how we aren't a monolith, where like some of us, we can be loud. Like me, I'm a big mouth, but she's very quiet, but she gets her stuff done too. We just all do it in a different way. Black women, we doing it, right? Doing it big time. And did you know that there's only been one member of the House of Representatives to represent Maryland, right? And only one Black female, and her name was Donna Edwards, and she left in 2017. And Angela Alsobrooks is only the second representative from the state of Maryland to represent us in DC, period. And I would be the third, totally. But, you know, Just throwing that out there. For it to be Maryland, we should have a whole bunch of us constantly moving in that way. But
absolutely. And yes, and also to your point about the Black maternal health and the policy that was actually passed. A lot of people don't know it was passed in, I think, a bundle bill actually. And the reason why I want to highlight this is because we tend to, on this app and other social media platforms, we tend to battle a lot of mis and disinformation regarding people saying that representatives or officials on the Democratic side does not pass or advocate for any policies or haven't even gotten anything done to affect Black people. So with that particular bill getting passed, that is a target on things of that were wide gaps that wasn't served, and to not only get the data behind it, but actually get the funding. So you mentioning that definitely refreshed my memory that that is one of the many policies or legislation that was actually passed to help Black people and affect Black people in a positive way. So thank you for that.
Remember
that
the
mention.
Crown Act, and remember we still got to get the John Lewis Voting Rights Act in there. So those are things that are sitting there waiting for us. And again, it comes to the fact that a lot of us on this side, the good guys side, don't like to brag. A lot of us are really humble. I'm probably the most humble person you'll ever meet, but we got to start shouting louder about the things that we do and explaining how like this works. Just like in 2024, when there were podcasters that was like, well, you did stuff for Black women, but what about Black men? Everything that happens with us affects y'all because we love you. And there's never been a time where Black women have said, we're going to take it all and not give anything to our Black men. Never been a time. We love y'all too much for that. So just throwing that out there.
Absolutely.
We love y'all too much to leave y'all behind. Come on.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to allow one person to come up and ask your question regarding healthcare. If someone would like to ask Ms. Randi your question regarding this topic, feel free to request up. You can just click the guest box or just put it in the chat. So it looks like we don't have anyone, but they are enjoying your conversation. So you're getting a lot of great feedback in the chat. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll into talking about public education and schools. So with schools across this, the Eastern Shore face teacher shortages and burnout, which is driven parts by pay that doesn't match the cost of living. So could you expound upon what federal actions would you support to raise teacher pay and retain educators in local schools?
We really, there's something within Maryland that they are trying to work on. Thank you. Is the blueprint. And a lot of the Maryland blueprint has been going on for a long time. And with that, they want to do like a minimum salary of about $61,000. That's where every teacher in the state of Maryland would start. And of course, like that would vary. Like on the other side of the bridge, it would probably not be a good start, but over here, it would make a big difference. A lot of the funding, federal funding that, the other districts are able to take advantage of to pay their teachers, whether you're in District 4, 2, 3, 7, all of them except for one, those are the ones that we want to bring in. Now, the Department of Education, again, is run by Linda McMahon and, Tupe Fiasco. So the funding's not there. But getting it back, working, piecing it together is a goal of ours, right? In Maryland's first district, we got different issues though. In the lower shore, we have a lot of underfunding, whether it's books, whether it's the schools aren't in good shape, the IPs aren't up to par, we don't have enough teachers, we're not paying anybody anything, and they refuse to hire. We got Moms of Liberty on school boards in Somerset County and they're like racist as hell, and we got to save them down there. And we got a high child poverty rate. There we go. We'll get it out. In the lower shore, 3 counties of the lower shore, we have Somerset, Wycomico, and Dorchester counties are suffering in that way. Baltimore County and Harford County are suffering because they have a lot of overcrowding. They have a lot of old schools that need to be rebuilt. We got to get new schools up there. So it's very basic funding that would be provided throughout the federal government that we just needed somebody to say, hey, we need some of that money, and Andy Harris hasn't done. Also, on top of that, here's a little secret about the Eastern Shore. Growing up on the Eastern Shore, they treat us like the redheaded stepchild of the state. So there are things that I would have to stay out of because I'm a federal representative, but because my people are being affected by it, I have to like go to bat for them. So when we're divvying up stuff throughout the state, like I appreciate you, Governor Moore, for doing the things you're doing for PG County and Montgomery County and Howard and everything else, but come see us in Caroline because we got some stuff that needs to be built. Cecil County needs your help because they're firing all the teachers and we need money for all the teachers. Come down to Somerset County, show your people that you support them in this fight for those kids. There are a ton of Black people in Somerset County. A massive amount of Black people in Somerset County. And the people running the board, they kicked out the superintendent, the Black woman who has her own PhD because she was DEI. They said that she was unworthy of being able to hold that position and try to force that woman out, and eventually did. And they're teaching all these things. So they're going to teach a lack of love for who you are, a lack of all of this. Your school board should be reflecting, but this is also on us as voters. We got to start paying attention to every single thing on the ballot down to the dog catcher, because it is important and it makes a difference. It really does make a difference. So those are the things. We have basic federal needs, funding needs, and we're gonna have to fix some shit. Oops, sorry, we're gonna have to fix some stuff to get up there first. And then we'll go from there. But I'm really I'm the child of an educator. So I have a lot of pressure to make sure that's good. And as an advocate for my own children who have IEPs, my oldest autistic and ADHD, I'm out there making sure I can advocate for everyone else's kid as well.
Thank you for that. And I just want to dive more into talking about the debt-free side of education or the lack thereof. So we know that students, they want good paying jobs, but a lot of them that want good paying jobs, they tend to leave their educational institution with a lot of debt. So that comes from either attending trade schools, colleges. And I just want to know, do you have any policy ideas that could expand more career and technical education opportunities, and also make college more affordable for students?
So I'm going to go back to the original. First of all, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the Biden-Harris administration. And it's important to talk about that because there was your chance to get it all done, right? Vice President Biden, when he went in, said he was going to clear out $10,000. Vice President Harris was like, let's just wipe it all out, right? Convinced him, and he was like, all right, cool, bet. And then people got mad. Rich people got mad because how dare other people that have no effect on us, actually live their lives without debt in there. We want them all to be. So there were lawsuits upon lawsuits coming from Georgia and all other places. So what President Biden and Vice President Harris did was they found loopholes. And that's how they were able to forgive people's student debt. And it's a slow process, but that was the only way to do it because it was going to be caught up in courts and stuff like that. He put in a lot of work with that and went to a lot of effort. And had we, not had a crooked SCOTUS, everybody wouldn't have debt right now, right? So we have to go back, or if we had continued on the cycle. Now, 92% did what we were supposed to do. 78% did what we were supposed to do. Had we kept going with Vice President Harris or President Biden as president, we could still keep pushing a lot of this. It's worth it to keep pushing for it because right now, Tupe Fiasco is trying to garnish all your wages for that debt right now. So you have to stop him from doing that. He's just trying to pull it all out because the cruelty is the point. So we want to make sure we hold him accountable, hold his feet to the fire, whatever is left, and make sure he stops doing that. And that requires lots of lawsuits up and down. Thank President Biden for putting a lot of people on the benches, which are another hidden thing that he did that helped us as well. Now, moving forward, you got to take some of those old plans, like the SAVE plan or whatever, because those were looked at to go through the loopholes of the people that were suing, so that Black people wouldn't get the help, to get rid of the Pell Grant, to do all that, because it was all targeted. Like, no, we can't do that. So I would go with that. I would love to work with the Department of Education and do those things, as I said earlier, with the affordable college that Hillary Clinton wanted to do. You have to incentivize people to stay within the district, or stay within the state, or stay within wherever you go to school, and then reap benefits from there. So affordable college is number one, right? Public schools, public universities, I don't think they should cost as much as they do. Like, if there has to be a cost, fine, but it's got to be reasonable, But the way to do that also is with public universities, we would pay the salaries of the professors and stuff, right? That they would have to become like federal employees. And then it's such a tricky thing, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I think you could go. Also, we want to make sure all the community colleges are free. And take care of people starting there. So it's all a gradual, that's what progressiveness is. It's all a progression to a certain area, right? And we want to make sure that we get to that point. Trade schools are important because there's a lot of things that most of us can't do. I did a 4-year college because I'm good at putting a pen to a paper. Doing my own hair, absolutely not. Fixing my
and
toilet.
look, we understand. I can relate to that. I have a lot of hair myself, so it's like a job. You have to, the preparation process is the initial part, and the execution, that's a whole nother story when it comes to hair. So I fully understand that.
I have a desire, and that's enough.
Yeah, so kind of translating that into the different phases and that idea of education and student debt, and I fully understand that. I can fully relate to that, especially when it comes to the hair concept. So yes.
But also, okay, we want to put those real quick. Yes. We have. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. In Salisbury, specifically in Wycomico County, we have CTE programs, career technology education. If those aren't in every county, in every district, they need to be, because that's when they start the learning and start, getting kids ready for those types of trades, like getting them ready in high school to do those things. We had nursing programs. I was in a program called Health Occupations because I wanted to be a pediatrician. But I also found out I'm queasy when it comes to vomit. So but I think that those need to be pushed a little bit more, and explored a lot more. When they go through the exploration programs, we had a really good time at doing that when I was in high school too. So we want to, if we can start it in the public high schools and do those CTE programs, I think it can go to those trade schools afterwards too, for those that don't mind, that don't want to do even 2 years at school. You shouldn't have to. Do what you're good at. Do what you're passionate about.
I agree. I think there should be more encouragement, because I think over the past couple of decades, we were taught, just even in our households, to go to college. That was our pipeline to know that we'll get better jobs. But due to us knowing over the past decades that hasn't translated into how much education you get equals the pay, I think there also needs to be more talks about to get it. You don't necessarily have to get into college or a 4-year, but you go into a 2-year that may be less expensive, as well as going to trade schools, like encouraging people to get in more trades, because there is a high demand in trade, but they can't fill out a lot of those spots, especially like plumbing. And depending on the area you live in, there might not be a lot of plumbers or electricians. And we know that once those people complete those trade skill certifications, they are in high demand of that market. I see a lot of women now getting into electrician, and I'm happy to see that now too.
Right. Because if you've ever paid an HVAC person, you know they make the money, and garbage men make the money, garbage people make the money, and everything else. So it's not always getting that 4-year degree. I'm jealous, but also I'm okay where I am.
Yes, and the apprenticeship programs too kind of give them hands-on education into their trade as well. I've seen certain engineering fields don't necessarily require an actual 4-year degree, and they can still get a certain level of certification. Not all, but in certain engineering trades. So yeah, that could be something that people can look into. But I think it needs to be more talked about. That way, people have a wide array of choices to know what they can do.
Absolutely.
Yes, I think teaching those options to broaden out the spectrum of what kids can do. Maybe kind of start once they get to like 9th grade. I can speak to locally where I am in Alabama, in the city that's close to me, which is Birmingham. That city school system has a early nursing program in their high school, so they already have about 4 years. I say about 2 years of college credits by the time they graduate high school. That way, once they get to college, they can graduate early and go straight into the nursing field. So I think schools need to kind of apply that. I know that's not just an easy thing to do. That needs to be more implemented, where people need to run for school boards and have people that can advocate for those things. But that can be something that people can keep in mind as well.
Yep. And that's what I was talking about with the career technology exploration programs, those nursing programs, those cosmetology programs that don't come out of your pocket, don't come out of your parents' pocket, where you go in and you learn about your trade and you do your trade at the same time. It's super important. And we need to focus like on public education, on getting those guidance counselors back to guiding the kids where they need to go. So where they're not necessarily doing everything like they used to, where they used to do college prep, they used to do whether you should go to trade or do your schedules, et cetera, et cetera. They used to care a lot more. So we, and I think what it is it's a balance. We got to get more people paid and hired in administration and teachers, because we're not doing it. I can't. I don't have the patience. I got my 2. That's about it. I love the children.
I understand.
He loves the kid, but teaching. Yes. You're an amazing person if you're a teacher. You're amazing. Your patience is a godsend, because after the flu and then 2 weeks of winter vacation, I was like, go back.
I fully understand that. Okay, so Miss Randi, we're gonna do something a little fun, but it's still political in nature. So these are a set of rapid fire questions I have for you. So I'm gonna test your pulse and see how quickly you can answer these questions. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. The John Lewis Voting Rights Act, is it essential legislation or federal overreach?
It's essential.
Okay. Regarding corporate polluters, should they pay a Bay tax for cleanup efforts? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Regarding term limits, are they necessary to end political career cycles?
We need term limits in SCOTUS, right? Because they're appointed and they shouldn't be appointed lifetime. They should have 15 years max. We do have term limits in Congress. That's called the elections. Vote them out.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of the talk around that, really quick, I know it's rapid fire. There's a lot of talk around like, oh, we got to get the old people out. Let me tell you though, that's ageist, but also a lot of those older folks, like you got Bobby Scott in Virginia 3, you got Maxine Waters, et cetera, they keep winning their elections because they show up for their people. Bobby Scott, I used to live in his district. I always saw that man. He was always doing work. He was always available if you needed him to show someone up. That's why they keep getting elected. That's why they're in there till they're 80 or so, because they're good at what they do. They get their job done. If you want them to go away, beat them. That's all I got to say. Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. So regarding the 15 minimum wage, is it enough for families in Salisbury today, or is it not?
No, absolutely not. It is not a living wage, not at all.
Okay. And regarding green jobs, wind energy off is wind energy off the coast of Ocean City? Yes or no? Would you advocate for wind energy off the coast?
We need it. We need it. We need those jobs. We need the clean energy. And I'm gonna tell you, we need the cleanliness, period. Because when I go down to Virginia Beach, which is just 2.5 hours south, the Atlantic Ocean looks different.
Okay. And regarding student debt, total cancellation, or is it a targeted relief?
I think you got to break that down. We need to do a total wipe out. We got to start targeted, get those loopholes, and then do a total wipeout. And I say that as someone who had some debt coming out, not a lot, not as much as a lot of people, because I think a lot of people are like, well, I had to pay mine, and I don't care about that. I think we have to start targeted, and then we expand to more, right? Everybody get it wiped out. And what we do in that level to stop the hemorrhaging, because, while we're still trying to decide, there's still kids in school, getting debt at the same time. And what we do is figure out affordable public, because we can't do anything about private universities and colleges, right? But the public universities, we can. So I think it's a lot of work. And I'm excited to have a go at it.
Okay. And lastly, regarding local high school pride, is Wicomico High School Indians or a different local rival you would prefer?
Oh, I'm Y High. They call it themselves the tribe now. It is Wicomico, Wicomico High School. I am full blown blue and gold. If you go to my website, randiformd.com, you'll see my new official photo. I am in blue and yellow in that picture. I go hard for my team. Ironically, my dad coaches the girls basketball team now, even though he went to another rival high school that we won't mention because Y High is the best. Y High is the best school. And also, here's a little tidbit. Y High has had famous graduates besides me. We have had our Honorable Paul Sarbanes, who is one of the senators in Maryland for a very long time. And also, if you remember the Terminator movies, Linda Hamilton, she and her twin sister graduated from Y High with my aunt.
Oh, I appreciate that tidbit because I keep mispronouncing it. So it's Wicomico, correct?
Wicomico. It's okay.
Okay.
I'll teach everybody all the time.
It sounds Native American because I'm in the South, so we have a lot of Native American town names like that. So I was curious.
Have a lot of heritage down here. We thought that was the deal with our family. Turns out they were it's the Portuguese. In my family background, not Native American. Crazy.
That's interesting. Yes. All right. So I'm gonna allow one person to come up and ask you a question. If we don't have anyone in the chat or in the queue, we'll just go ahead and roll it over to talking about public safety and immigration. So specifically regarding immigration, we all know that some community members, they worry about the fear of immigration enforcement, which can prevent some people from reporting crimes or seeking help. How would you balance immigration enforcement with making sure everyone can feel safe with access and emergency services and cooperating with law enforcement?
Good question. So when we get, signed in and do our little vow of awesomeness next year, we wipe out what ICE is now, because them people are cosplayers. They're not federal agents. And you can't convince me otherwise. They get those Velcro patches from Amazon and they go out and do the thing. I feel like I'm crazy, but I also feel like most of them are J6 people. They got to go. Deportations aren't a bad thing if you have a reason for it. And if you're not just targeting the immigrants that are brown or black. We have plenty of immigrants within this country that are white that need to be deported. Elon Musk, for example, needs to be deported. A lot of people from Tupe Fiasco's buddy's country that have been in here not doing work, not giving to this country, much like his wife, they need to go. It's the how and the why of doing it. The way that they're doing this stuff is awful. It's awful. It's the worst. And that's why it needs to go, right? You do have to have some kind of like watching, hey, if you came here and you doing bad stuff, you got to go. But everything that's happened now, going into 2027, my thought and my purpose is accountability. Everybody who had something to do with killing Keith Porter Jr., killing Miss Renee Good, injuring these people and stuff, you're held accountable personally. You're held accountable on the supervisor level. We are taking it all the way to the top. Accountability needs to happen, and that whole thing needs to be dropped out. We gotta impeach South Dakota Barbie, Kristi Noem too. She'll know what she's doing. And I know that they're drawing articles of impeachment for her too, and she's likely to lose her job. But we have to take those things like from the bottom to the top. They got to get out of here. And I've already stated more than once, in Maryland 1, ICE isn't welcome here. You're not welcome here in this district. You're not going to be able to come in here and start messing with my people. We don't like that. You're not going to be able to get away with this stuff. We have to hold y'all accountable for this. All this BS, we're writing names down. You keep those faces in your eyes. We kept saying, remember their names, right? Because what happened to Renee Good has been happening to us for decades, right? Remember those faces, remember those names, because those names are going to be coming up when it's time for us to take over in a majority and start investigating and start holding their feet to the fire and keeping our feet on their necks. For as long as Tupe Fiasco's neck's going to hold up, it'll be on there.
I'm sorry if I'm grinning. It's the name that I like the name that you have, Tupe Fiasco. Yes. So I don't see anyone else in the chat. They're just saying that they feel like enough is enough. So they definitely agree with what your stance is on that. So all right. So I'm going to go ahead and roll it into talking about environment and infrastructure. So regarding the environment, we understand that fishing and crabbing and tourism, and I love the fishing and crabbing because I love your crab cakes. But anyway, is a central
They're the only crab cakes in the nation. Just remind you, Maryland's the only way to go.
Yes, so we understand that it's a central part of the local community in your area, but it has been impacted with increasing environmental damage and climate change. How would you support the watermen and coastal communities while protecting the bay and creating sustainable jobs there?
Ooh, it's interesting in this district. It is a lot of people who want, like, everybody in Maryland's first district understands that we have environmental issues and we have to fix it. The problem is no one person has the answer that everyone can come together with. And those are things that we have to start listening to the people, like what works best. Because what works best for the watermen on the bay won't work best on the Atlantic Ocean, right? So those are things that I have created coalitions right now to show, like, hey, y'all tell me, because that's your expertise. You're out there on the water every day. You're out there, seeing, like, we're lessening with the oysters, or the crabs aren't coming like they used to, or the fish and everything else. You're seeing the deterioration. I'm not seeing it. You have to show me. So I don't have all the answers for those. Those are things that I have to listen to them and then work and see what works best, like, together. And that's what, having such a mix in this district is good. It's also tough because you don't have an answer for everything, but I know that we can bring people together to talk about what works best. And you may still not get unanimous consent on a lot of stuff, but you can find, like, what actually works for that. Because God bless our crabs, right? We need that. We need them back. Our Old Bay is everything. So we are really about making sure we have coalitions of real people. We don't have consultants. We talk to the people directly. They come to us, and that's what I've been doing, listening, parties, and everything else about that. And with our environment, there's so many answers, and it's so interesting campaigning because one half of one city feels one way, and then the other half of another city feels the same way, and then another one feels slightly different. So it's a tough question to give you one answer to, because they don't have one answer. And even with the wind energy, like, people want it, but they don't want it because of what they call the eyesore, or they're afraid of the birds getting killed or something like that, which, is a big deal. But we also need it. So we're going to have some uncomfortable truths in a lot of listening sessions coming up in February. We're doing a bunch of community conversations, not town halls. We're doing community conversations.
Oh yes, and someone agreed with you. They said nothing like blue crab. So
we're the only one. If you're getting a crab cake anywhere else but Maryland, and it says Maryland style, don't believe it, because we don't fry them, and we don't put a lot of filler in ours, and it must have Old Bay, not Lowry's. I know y'all Southerners love Lowry's, but it's got to have Old Bay. We snort Old Bay for fun. All right, I got Old Bay hot sauce, Old Bay. We've had Old Bay vodka. We do it up with Old Bay over here.
That's new. I haven't heard of
good crab cakes.
I make some really good sauce. Good.
It is.
I like the Old Bay hot sauce.
I put it on I put it on everything. I put it on popcorn too. So
yes, and I appreciate that because I'm in the South, but the I will say the crabs and the seafood is different from the eastern side of the shore. So I definitely appreciate that. Hats off to y'all. Y'all the king of that. And I think I'm surprised you all don't compete with Maryland, because I'm not Maryland, but Maine. Maine tends to want to step in the chat and try to compete with
they have
seafood.
Lobster is different. Lobster and blue crab is a little bit different. Like I didn't have crab legs until last year. People would always be like, well, let's go get some crab legs. I'm like, are we doing the rest of the crab? Like, because when we pick the crab, we go in the middle and pop. Old Bay wing. Hold on. Old Bay wings, but do the honey Old Bay wings too. Life change.
Life change. Gave me some ideas to try that.
You'll learn something with me. Old Bay on your popcorn. I like caramel popcorn with Old Bay too. And that's like a delicacy right here, like from Ocean
City.
Sweet,
spicy type of flavor. You like, okay, that's interesting. I'll have to try that one as well.
It's so, I remember I dated a dude and he wasn't from here, and I was like, you gotta try this. I'll give you the caramel, but you gotta try the Old Bay. He's like, I don't know. I'm like, you gonna be with me. I'm gonna put Old Bay on everything. Everything. So and I tried it.
Good.
You have to get some Fisher. If everybody's invited to Maryland's First District, and I will get you some Fisher's popcorn with the caramel popcorn, and it's gonna have Old Bay in it. They do it really nice. It's gonna be nice and warm, and we're gonna tear it up together and then regret it, but not really regret it, because we had a good time while eating it. Okay, we're all invited. We're gonna. In fact, that's what I'm gonna do at my victory party on June 23rd. We're gonna have popcorn with Old Bay. Yeah, maybe some Bloody Marys with the vodka.
I would love to try that. That would be something that I would never forget. Just those combination of flavors sound great.
It's good.
Yes. But I want to talk more into the infrastructure part. So we understand that certain parts of Maryland still deal with like bridges and issues and road issues and drainage issues. But specifically, there was a major event that happened, I think last year. No, I'm sorry, the year before, regarding the Francis Scott Bridge. Yeah, the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse. Can you speak more to that and about the funding, and then how, unfortunately, it became political as to why it needed to get fixed? If you can give me your thoughts on that.
You want to know why it became political? Because people saw two Black men doing their job. That's why it became political. They saw the mayor of Baltimore, I call him Cousin Brandon Scott, standing out there 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, in his jacket, showing up for his people and seeing what was happening, and they didn't like that. They saw Governor Wes Moore showing up and them showing emotion at the same time. That's why it got political, because two Black men were standing there doing what they had to do. We had a president who supported them and was like, whatever you need, we got you, right? And we know that's going to take a lot of money, et cetera, to do this. And again, this is in Baltimore, so this is outside of my district. But once Supe Fiasco and his crew came in, they're like, no, No more. And of course, because it costs more to build now, but that was going to happen because the estimates of the funding that they made were based on when they first built the Key Bridge. For the most part, they tried to it was all estimates. That's what happens. So now that it costs more, they don't want to put into it. And you weren't gonna because the administration changed, and y'all know that they don't like Black people. They don't. That's why it's political. That's the only reason why it's political. If it was
literally to the construction workers that were on that bridge.
So rest in peace to them completely. Because they were working hard. They were really working hard. And I remember seeing it and thinking, like watching it, the video, I was shocked that there were only so few, but I will give it up to Brandon and Wes for doing what they had to do as quickly as they did. They were on point. They were on there. Shout outs to President Biden for being there as quickly as he could be there. Vice President Harris for being there as quickly as possible. So it's really sad to think about. We have the Bay Bridge, and that's about to go through some renovations, and that's covered in multiple districts. Like the counties change right in the middle of the Bay Bridge. But we have a lot of infrastructure that needs fixing. With roads, there are a lot of holes. We have places like Crisfield, our most southernmost town, that floods all the time. Even when it doesn't rain, floods all the time. And they had gotten money from FEMA. I think it was $39 million President Biden allotted for them. Back in July, Tupe Fiasco and his crew took it back. And Andy Harris wrote a letter with Senators Van Hollen and also Brooks and was like, no, don't do that. That's not right. We need to protect it. So good, you wrote that letter. 2 days later, he voted for the big nasty bill. So even if you knew you were going to vote for that bill, right? Why not at least try to get some of that money? Like $20 million at least, get half of it. Leverage that, get your vote, because they were waiting on Andy's vote to pass that bill. Leverage that to get your people money. And all that money was going to do was they were going to fix houses, lift them up so that they're not affected by the daily flooding. They were going to get businesses in better positions. They were going to fix the roads, fix all this stuff. And now I ain't got nothing. Because Andy, yeah. Okay.
Yes, and I'm glad that you detailed that, because I think that got lost into the whole I think that was more of a distraction when they were hyper focused on the mayor and the governor, and people didn't see the bigger picture and why it's important when it comes to infrastructure. It's important to in our communities because it essentially keeps us safe. It's also like a preventative measure as well, and it's also a public good. So thank you for expounding upon that. But there's also a question in the chat. Someone asked, what are your plans for representing Maryland?
Maryland, the whole state or Maryland's first district? So my plans, again, I mentioned it multiple times. That's a good question. It's the same person asking the plans for the Latino community. I would like to talk more to the Latino community. We have a large immigrant community. In Wycomico County, we have a lot of Haitians. We have, in fact, if you go to the schools and everything else, we have things in English and Spanish and in Haitian Creole. And there's a lot that needs to be done within our communities, like even the Black community, where we got to have come to Jesus moment, talk with each other and get all on one accord, right? And that's what I think we have to do with the Latino community as well, too. Come on one accord and ask the needs that they feel. So we have a higher Hispanic community, I believe in Talbot County, Caroline County, and Queen Anne's County for sure. And ask what they need and what needs to be done. When I soft launched in July, those are the coalitions that I wanted to build. And as we go through now, I want to build those communities, representing, I'm one of the people that are here. these are my neighbors. These are my family members. I'm invested. This is personal. This is all very personal when I come to run. And I know what it's like to grow up here. I know what it's like not to have anything. I know what it's like to work for $1 billion corporation that brags about having a ton of money at the end of the year, but will lay off like that. That will hire and put $1 million contracts into one person's pocket and then say, hey, you work for us for 50 hours, some of it off the clock for $16 an hour. I had to be on SNAP. I had to be on Medicaid to get my kid ABA therapy and still work 50 hours a week, 10 hours of it off the clock, right? But shh, don't tell anybody that, right? And I understand the urgency that the people feel that are here, the urgency of needing that help, of like living in low income housing, but like no one's holding these landlords or property managers accountable for their interpretation of low income being unworthy. And I think with that urgency, that's how I fight. If you notice, I'm very up and at 'em because I know I got work to do. There's a responsibility that I have, and I don't take lightly at all. I don't take lightly at all. And I go into DC, making sure I take every single person here that has talked to me, that has asked me, I need help, I need help, I need to do this. I go in, I do leadership now. Leadership starts now. People have told me about their housing issues. And, you know, a lot of politicians, what they do, they put it in their back pocket so they can talk about them and regurgitate it when they do town halls like this, when they go on TV and stuff. But for me, I see nothing getting done. Let's call this the Secretary of Housing for the state of Maryland. Hey, yo, we got some problems going on in Hartford, Somerset, Wycomico, Talbot, Dorchester County. We need some work to be done. And I've been on that horn. I have been, emailing and fighting for a chance to get some one-on-one time, not for my sake, but to help these people out because they need it. They need help. And that's what's important to me, people getting the help they deserve. So I represent with the strong as an advocate for your children, my children, for each other. And that I ain't no punk. So I ain't gonna walk away from anything. I'm not gonna stand down. Like, it's all about the people. If you notice on my TikTok and everywhere else, I say all of us for all of us. I mean that. I live by that. Because when the weakest of us hurts, the rest of us will suffer eventually. So we gotta look out for each other. We gotta have community, and people get kind of messed up when they feel like they're out of it. But this community is open. We welcome all the people.
And thank you for that. And also, just as a follow-up, your district is +8 leaning Republican. I just want to know, what is your strategy to get more votes? Is your strategy to get more votes regarding those who are like low propensity voters, people who are typically don't come out to vote, and getting new voters, or are you trying to win over independents and Republicans as well? Could you talk more about your strategy and to attracting those type of voters to vote for you?
I sure can, to a certain extent. So being a former athlete, I don't put my playbook out there, because then I'm in a primary, right? And we have a Democratic primary. And if I put my playbook out there and say, hey, beat me, it ain't gonna work, right? But I will say that the key to winning is our turnout. And I am the only one in this primary that can get our turnout the way it's supposed to be. And I'm excited to take that on. I said earlier, this is my responsibility. I have to come correct and come through for my people. The votes are there. The numbers are there. It's just getting people up and at them. And we're going to do that. And a lot of it's going to be because, I will be encountering people knocking on doors and doing the phone calls and getting to know them at different events, seeing people where they are. Those are our strategies, because people need to realize that I don't do politics isn't a real thing. Like, politics certainly does yours. And you don't have to be as involved as I am, but we have to know, we have to talk about the things that affect your daily life are affected by our politics. So let's find a different way to talk about it. So
thank you for that. All right, so I have another set of rapid fire questions for you. So these are more fun in nature, so you can kind of, just be a little relaxed a bit. So
Okay.
I think these will be fun for you. Okay, so regarding the Eastern Shore staple, which one would you choose? Old Bay on everything or just seafood?
Ooh, man, I love some seafood. Um, oh man, let's do Old Bay on everything.
Okay. All right, about regarding the best crab cake, which county does it best? Is it Salisbury, St. Michael's, or Hartford County?
Ooh, so Salisbury's in Wicomico County, versus St. Michael's in Talbot County. Oof, or Hartford County as a whole. Man, I
If you
don't
can choose
know.
one.
I'm gonna go with my hometown. I'm gonna go with my hometown of Salisbury. We're closer to the water. We the country folks, so I think we do it
All right,
better.
someone in the chat said Baltimore County.
Huh? Baltimore
Someone in
County.
the chat said, yeah.
And you know what? You're not completely wrong because I've had the best crab cakes in Baltimore City, but my uncle would kill me for saying that because he puts together crab cakes, oysters, etc., etc. Ah man, oh, you might be right on that one. But she gave me
So,
only three. She only gave me three to choose
yeah,
from.
there's only three. That's fine. Okay, so regarding your favorite listening tour stop, which of the 11 counties has the best coffee?
Oh, this is easy. I don't drink coffee. I
Okay.
don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea. I drink water or like anything else. So I can't answer that question. I am trying to think if my campaign manager, if they said anything about that. There
Do you have
is
a
like,
favorite place to stop to eat in that area when you're campaigning?
I love all the places to eat. Let me tell you, Caroline County has this soul food restaurant. I think it's called Porter's. I will tell you, we had the oxtails and they were perfection. The catfish was
Falling off the bone?
so, they were good. The yams were good, the greens were good. And I'm gonna go with that. As far as food, like that's been my best
And it's called
encounter so
Porter's?
far.
I'm gonna have to write that down.
I think it's Porter's. Let me double check because I want this man because he had a restaurant before in Dorchester County, and then he had a then he had like a heart attack or something, right? It's called Porter Soul Food. Yep, it's in Caroline County in Federalsburg. It is so good, and that makes me want to go there now. Oh my god. Whew.
I may have to add that to one of the places I would go when I go to Maryland. So great. All right. So regarding your mom life, what is a go-to survival snack while campaigning with your boys?
Oh. Don't kill me, y'all. But if I get them food from McDonald's, they're happy.
Hey, kids, keep it simple. I understand. My kids are the same
McDonald's.
way. That's their go-to. They love the fries. So
Oh,
yeah.
they love the fries, and my oldest loves his chocolate milk from there. But like, if I've really gotten on their nerves, they do ask for Chick-fil-A because my oldest wants the mac and cheese from there. So
They have good mac and cheese. Yes, from
yeah.
Chick-fil-A. Yes.
So we do that, or like goldfish. My we don't even want to look at my back seat. We don't want to do that. So
Okay, and lastly, about the Bay Bridge, do you love the view or do you dread the traffic?
I like the view. I've never been like, it's weird because I'm afraid of heights, but I love the view. I love driving on it. I don't have a problem driving over bridges. We got so many bridges besides the Bay Bridge. Like going into Cecil County and then Hartford County and stuff. There's a ton of them. So I don't mind the height. I love the way it looks. When I used to live in Virginia or something, whenever I would come home, I'd put all the windows down, even in the winter, just so I could smell the bay and stuff. So I have it deep embedded in my spirit, between the ocean water, the smell of the ocean, and the bay. I love it. I miss it.
All right, awesome. So, Miss Randi, if anyone would like to come up and ask you a question regarding all the topics we have covered for tonight, they can go ahead and splash those in the chat. But in the meantime, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. But before you go, we have a few things to ask you and invite you to. So, firstly, what to ask you is, what is your final message to voters upcoming for your primaries and into Election Day?
What's my message? Is that what you said?
Yes, your final message to voters.
Vote. That's the most important thing. Your power is in your vote. This is why people are constantly trying to sabotage your vote. You have so much power in that vote. If you are 17 and going to be 17 by November 3rd, register to vote, because you can vote in the primary. If you are an independent, unfortunately, we have closed primaries in Maryland. I would suggest, if you like what you see, you go to my website, randiformd.com. If you could, right before primary, switch to Democrat, and then June 24th, switch back to independent, I wouldn't even be the one to convince you to stay Democrat, but that would be beautiful. We need turnout. Turnout is a big deal, and having a big turnout in the primary is going to be big, because that is going to make Andy Harris spend a lot of money. We got to get him out, and he is going to not want to debate me. He's going to not want to do anything but call me DEI, and that's cool, right? But I'm gonna kick your ass, and I'm gonna make you pay for it. And we need to show him he's not welcome, just like ICE isn't welcome. But it's all of us for all of us. We got to start caring about it. We're going in with accountability, service, empathy. We're taking all of that to DC. We're going to make a bigger, brighter bay. We are, and ocean.
And are you willing to negotiate and compromise once you're elected?
With those who are doing it for the greater good of the people, right? Because I would love to negotiate with people, but if they already have it set in stone that they're not going to do good things for the people, we got a problem, because it's all about the people. A lot of people are in politics just for their ego. We need to be here for the people, and that's the most important thing of it. If you cool with finding out what's good with the people and going from there, absolutely, we can negotiate all day long. Appreciate that.
All right. And as I said to you earlier, we want to invite you to a few things. So before you go, we want to invite you to our next town hall, which will be held tomorrow. We will have the candidate Jason Reynolds. Jason is running for U.S. Senate for Virginia. So that will be held tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have some extra time, feel free to stop in and show some love to us, and just hear about Jason's platform. And also right after Jason's town hall, we will also have Brett Mulrooney, and Brett is running for Maryland State Senate seat in District 31. And that will be at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And lastly, the last thing we want to invite you to is be on the lookout for an email from us. We want to invite you to our next roundtable discussion. And our next roundtable discussion consists of candidates like these gentlemen here, where it'll be at least 6 of you all on the panel here, and you all will talk about different array of topics, as well as talking about your policies and your thoughts. And it typically is a great conversation. We hold those every other Sunday, starting at 3 p.m. And we tend to end at 5. So we would love to have you as a part of the roundtable if you have any time. So, and once again, thank you for coming as well. It's been a great conversation. And I definitely will share it out to any of my family members that live up in your Maryland district area to look into your campaign.
I appreciate that so much. And Buttercup, Cheetos don't intimidate me. I eat them when I'm supposed to. Don't tell anybody else I eat them. My godfather lives down near Huntsville. So I've been down to Alabama a lot. I know it's more north of where you are. I think my godbrother lives down in Birmingham with his fiance. So it's really good.
Yeah, so you have connections to Alabama, so that's even more awesome. So,
I do have some connections to Alabama. But my godfather's from up here too, so.
Hey, I love it. I love both the areas that you share. That you
Baby,
tend,
Old
and you've
Bay
also visited
Cheetos.
Alabama. Oh
Sorry.
yes. No, you're fine. And lastly, I want to thank our vote counts for hosting this town hall and giving a platform to candidates like you, because I think if we didn't create this platform, we wouldn't hear about candidates like you that are building grassroots campaigns and movements. So thank you for making out time to have a conversation with our vote counts. And also, I want to thank the participants of the live stream and asking the questions to Miss Randi. And last but not least, our OVC team. We work really, really hard in the back end to bring these town halls and these roundtables into fruition. So special shout out to our team as well. And thank you for being here as well. And so finally, I'm sorry,
real quick. Buttercup wants to help get out the Latina vote. Go to my website, randyformd.com. The contact section is at the bottom. Can you fill that out and make sure you put that in there so that we can get a hold of you? Because we would love your help. I ain't afraid of asking for help. If you're offering, I will take you up on that. And if y'all want to help with fundraising, all that other stuff, like parties on the other side of Maryland, I'm down too. I'll show up wherever you want me to. Sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely. So as Miss Randi said, randyformd.com, go ahead and go to our website. If you would like to contribute to her campaign, you can also go to her website as well. Is that correct? They can go to your website to contribute?
Yep.
All right.
It's all there.
All right. And lastly, we want to also remind people that our vote counts. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to support candidates of integrity and ensure that every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, and accountability and action, we're building a stronger democracy. So with one informed vote at a time, please join us because your vote is your power. So until then, see you all. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Be safe. Bye.